So I'm just going to run through the slide so that I can see what. So the first slide is actually more like an outline, a course expectation, what you expect from this course today. That's what the first slide is about, really. And can we all mute our mic, please? Can we all mute our mic, please? So that we don't, there are a lot of background noises. All right, thank you. So again, the class is organized by CodeCradle Innovations Limited. And what we'll do basically is we are focused on reducing skill deficiency in Africa. And that's because from data, there are over 400 million Africans with skill deficiency. So our aim really is to reduce that number, which is why we are strategically positioning a lot of our trainings to attack this. And one of our training is actually this one that we are uploading now, which is the CodeCradle Data Science class. So the guys on Instagram, can you just connect via, can you just through the link, join the Zoom, join via Zoom. Join via Zoom. So yeah, so I just sent okay, the link to the guys on Instagram. So this class really is strategically positioned so that we are able to produce data scientists in Africa, and that's because of a lot of issues that we are faced with in Africa at the moment. You know, so the first on the list of this outline is the effect of data on Africa. You know, we are also why Africans must get involved in data science and security. You know, the third one is how to get involved in data science. You know, then this class proper introduction to data science. Then one of the outline is also essential components of data science. Then we'll also get to some of the things I didn't have there is we're going to talk about the types of data, you know, in data science and how we can actually differentiate between, you know, we can define data in data science generally. So it's going to be a robust course, and the aim of this class is not just to take just one class. Obviously, it's not a class is not enough to learn the whole of data science. And for this class, I'll be very, very pragmatic. I'm going to cite use cases of this of everything we want to learn here, so that it's going to make a lot of sense to us. It's data science. So, and to an extent, a huge part of this course is mathematical, which might be boring. Programming generally is boring, and even if it's just HTML, it's boring. So what I'll try to do is to cite use cases, real scenarios, you know, so that we can relate with it and it can make a lot of sense to us, you know. And again, this part of tech is very, very key. And it's good that we are in this meeting, because it's going to position us. It's going to position us for the next phase of tech in the entire world, and a lot of things will be changing in Africa. So this is just to. Someone just joined. Can you please mute your mic, please? Can you mute your mic? Blessing. Thank you. Thank you very much. So I'm going to just go right into my slides. So the first question is, why learn data science as an African? Why learn data science as an African? Over the years, for over 10 years now, I mean, when internet has started penetrating the African market, you know, a huge part of our infrastructure, systems and structures, digital platforms are sitting on servers, on technologies outside of our territory. So that is why on the slide you see that I stated there that digital slavery of Africa, of Africans generally. And that's because if you look at the operating systems that are in the African market, Microsoft is owned by Windows OS is owned by Microsoft. Android OS, that's for mobile, is owned by Google. iOS is owned by Apple, and there's a new one in the market now called CodeCradle. You know, and they love CodeCradle is actually influenced by Google because Google has the majority share in CodeCradle. You know, so that is to tell us that major part of our systems and structures are dependent on operating systems outside of our territory. That's a major challenge. That's a huge threat to any territory at all. So, as a data scientist or as an upcoming data scientist, you are positioning yourself to be in the forefront to deliver Africa from digital slavery, which is very, very key for at this time. Also, disadvantages of allowing big tech control our territory is a use case or a typical case is this whole coronavirus. I'm trying to admit someone. Welcome, Mogaji. So a typical case is this whole coronavirus thing. You know, it broke in China early this year, January this year. Can you please mute your mic, please, so that? Thank you. So January this year, coronavirus broke. So if I just coming into the, we are just joining the class, we at the point where we are looking at why we should learn data science as Africans. You know, and one of the things that I cited was the fact that a lot of our systems and structures are dependent on technologies outside of our territory. So one of the cases, operating systems, for instance. So Windows is Microsoft from America. iOS is Apple, America. Android is Google, America. CodeCradle, you know, is influenced by Google because Google has majority share. America also. That's a major challenge. That's a threat to any territory. So our aim as data scientists is to position ourselves to deliver Africa from digital slavery. What do I mean? One of the things we can do is to also come up with our own operating system whereby we can deploy it for the users in Africa and then to an extent possess the market. So one of the disadvantages of allowing companies outside of our territory to dominate our territory is a case is just this outbreak of coronavirus pandemic. In January, the virus broke in China. Chinese were able to contain it in just a couple of months, in about 2 months, they were able to contain it. The virus is in Nigeria, the virus is in the United States, you know, the virus is in Nigeria also. Google and Facebook, they've been doing a lot as regards monitoring and data tracking just to fight the coronavirus. In America, they know their peak. They know that as soon as they get to 100,000 cases in the United States, they know that at that point it starts to fall. Nigeria, we don't have that kind of data. There's no way we can actually get that kind of data. So if over the years we have been building all of our systems and structures on our own technologies that we have control over, we will be able to considerably get that kind of data to know the peak of the coronavirus. As it is now, we can't even track the coronavirus. We can't track it. There is no way we can track the coronavirus. We can't monitor it. We can't track it. We have no clue of the peak. We have no clue of the cases all over the country and all. So all of these things would have been solved by just a proper data infrastructure and monitoring system. So it's a huge disadvantage for us, you know, at this time, because the technologies that are actually dominating our market, the technologies that actually own our data, technologies that know where we are at every time, we are not controlling them. So there's no way, if it has a coronavirus in Ikoyi, for instance, now, and the person goes from Ikoyi to another part of Nigeria, maybe goes to Calabar, for instance, there is no way they can track the person to say that, okay, this person has virus, this person has gone to another location. There's a possibility. Can you please mute your mic, David? Thank you. Can you please mute your mic? So there's a possibility, thank you. There's a possibility of the spread of the virus. So as data scientists, our aim is to be properly positioned to be able to handle, to monitor and be the proper data structure just for us to fight the virus properly. So that's just one case. That's just one case. So there are a lot of opportunities in the market when it comes to this. A lot of opportunities in the market. And that's because according to GSMA, you know, when I say market, I'm talking about the African market now. According to GSMA, there are over 200 million Africans that already have, that are mobile subscribers. That means that they have mobile devices. It's that is both internet enabled and non-internet enabled devices. But out of this total number, out of these 200 million devices, only about 400 million devices rather. So according to GSM, there are over 400 million Africans that are mobile subscribers. Out of these 400 million mobile subscribers, only 200 million of them can actually have access to the internet. Only 200 million have access to the internet. You know, in Africa, we are over 1 billion in Africa. That means that the technologies outside of our territory, they have just 20% of our market. And that's because over 500 million people in Africa don't even have access to the internet. So as data scientists, we can position products such that we can tailor those products to people that do not have access to the internet. And a vast majority of people that do not have access to the internet are people at the base of the pyramid, people in the outskirts of Africa, outskirts of Nigeria, outskirts of Ghana, and all. So if you can position technologies, if you can position products, operating systems, and then deploy in a way that, you know, it's tailored to their lifestyle, it's tailored to their culture, we can start possessing the data of Africa gradually. So why learn data science as an Africa? First, Africa is experiencing what we call digital slavery. So as Africans, it is very, very important for us to position ourselves, get the relevant skills to be able to build technologies, build products for us to be able to partake and then deliver Africa from digital slavery. So the next slide is how data can make a difference in the fight against coronavirus. I just mentioned one. There is improper data infrastructure in Africa. If we're able to build a proper data infrastructure, we can start solving some of our problems in Africa. You know, I for one, we started a project called Grid Artificial Intelligence. You know, it's an artificial intelligence that is focused on monitoring and then building proper data infrastructure for Africa as a whole. You know, we started the project last year actually, and that's because we were predicting a lot of things that would actually happen in Africa. You know, as of last year December, you know, there was no case in Nigeria. You know, so but we started working on the project to ensure that we are positioned when probably there's an outbreak in Nigeria, which happened, you know, in March or February and all. So that's one of the projects. That's one of the projects that can actually be deployed, can be worked on as Africans. So as Africans, our aim is to ensure that we come up with systems, monitoring systems, data infrastructure technologies that can help us track and monitor the coronavirus cases, so that at the point you can say that, okay, this is going to be the peak of the cases in our own territory, in Nigeria or in Africa as a whole. So later in this session, I'm going to share you just a video of our AI, you know, just a very short video of what we are working on, so you can see exactly what we are working on. So what is data science? What is data science? So data science basically, in simple terms, is making sense out of data, because data on its own does not actually make any sense. It's actually useless if it is not being converted to information. So the act of converting raw data into refined information is what we call data science. All right. So as a data scientist, your work or your responsibility is to pick up raw data, analyze the data first, know the data type first, which some of these things are going to learn. So in this particular session, we're going to talk about data type, you know, in just a couple of minutes from now. So as a data scientist, you must be able to recognize raw data, know the type of the data, and then analyze, transform the data so that the data becomes refined and becomes an information that is usable. That's pretty much what data science is, and that's exactly what the data scientist does. So one of the questions that we have here is, what does the data scientist do? So, you know, what you process data to convert from a raw format to a cleaner format. All right. So one of these that you also do as a data scientist, you calculate to interpret statistical variables. Like I said, this course, data science, is actually a huge part of the course is actually mathematical, you know. So, but based on our experience in CodeCradle, we have been able to deduce a way to deliver all of these courses. Even if you don't like mathematics, you can easily just work with these courses. And like I said earlier, we'll be citing use cases, you know, real cases, real life cases of application of data science. That way, you know what's obtainable, you know what you should expect when you eventually learn the skill. So also, as a data scientist, you create visualization, you draw conclusion from analysis. So the first thing is you pick a data, you analyze it, you interpret it. After which, you now create a visualization and draw conclusion from that data, you know. And then not just that, you now suggest an application from that information that you have gotten. So remember I said earlier that data science is the act of converting raw data into information. Raw data as it is useless until it is being converted, it's being analyzed by a data scientist, it's being interpreted by a data scientist, and then the data scientist now converts it to an information that can be used, that can be applied into a real case scenario. So that's pretty much what data science is. So before like I said, this particular training is going to be very practical so that we don't waste our time. It's going to be very, very pragmatic. So can you please mute yourself, and please in just a couple of seconds, can you please talk about what you understand by data science and what is expected of you as an upcoming data scientist? Can you unmute yourself, please, quickly? So I'll start it. Let me start with Fakorede. Fakorede, can you unmute yourself, please?
Yes, I've already unmuted it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, well, from the basic explanation you've given,
yeah.
I think as a data scientist, it is very, very important of us to be able to, you know, collate data, not just collate the data, at least transform it to, you know,
Awesome.
information
Awesome.
that can be understood by, you know, either users or people accessing it.
Awesome. 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 Thank you very much, Fakorede. So unmute yourself. Blessing, can you please quickly, in just a couple of seconds, talk about what you understand by data science and what is expected of you?
Okay, I've never heard of data science before now, but from your explanation, I understand that it's getting data, like collecting data, analyzing it, and then converting it to information, find information that we can use to that become practical, like real cases.
Awesome. Thank you. Can you unmute yourself, please? Appointment. In just a couple of seconds, tell us what you understand by data science based on my explanation so far. So if appointment is not available, okay, appointment.
Yeah.
Okay.
From what I understand from data science has been a wide area, wide scope of study,
Awesome.
which has to deal with collection of data, organizing data, formatting data for easy accessibility,
awesome.
and for proper use
awesome.
of those.
Awesome.
Proper use for those who don't really understand what goes behind the structure.
Yeah.
Now, data science has been a major role in life of when we see IT.
Yeah.
Now, one of the application of data science is the AI, artificial intelligence.
Awesome. Awesome.
Where we talk about neural network, patterns recognition, and the likes.
Yeah. Okay. So the question is just based on my explanation, you know, because we are, you know, this is a class for beginners. All right. So our aim really is to go together.
Sorry, I thought you were asking me what I understand.
No. I'm saying based on my explanation, based on what I've said so far.
Oh,
so it's
sorry
just for
for
me
that.
to ensure that we are all following.
Oh, I'm following, right?
Yeah, you can.
Okay, based on your explanation, data science is just like collection of data, processing data for use.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
So Victor, Can you quickly just run us through what you understand by data science based on my explanation so far? Okay, I don't think Victor is available, so we're just going to go to the next slide. Just give me. Okay, so okay, so how has data been used by big tech companies, for ad selling, product development, fight against coronavirus? So, like I mentioned earlier, Google and Facebook has played a significant role in fighting coronavirus in the United States. So that's very awesome. So there's not been a time where the general public appreciates big data more in the entire history of tech. So over the years, even on big platforms like CNN, on Bloomberg, the old programs where they talk about tech against privacy, all right, where they say technological advancement. Yes, Google, Facebook, Amazon, Microsoft are coming up with a lot of technologies to move the whole world forward. But there's an issue of privacy, data violation, and all. So, but now people have actually they appreciate big tech more now than ever because of their contribution to the fight against coronavirus. I saw a video whereby there's about 7 cases of people coronavirus cases in a particular beach at a particular time. So those people now, they move from there. Okay, first, the fact that they're in that beach with over 5,000 people in that particular, I think it was Miami, that's the United States. In that particular beach, it is over 5,000 people. That is possibility of infecting 5,000 people in that particular beach because you are in the same water. You understand? There is contact, there is touch, there's all of that. So, but Google was able to track everybody on that beach at that particular time. So the data was there. They show the way they move from the beach after the whole party and all to the cities they went to, the states they went to. Some of them went as far as Canada. Can you see? So their technology has been able to give the government good insight into tracking of coronavirus, which is a huge value to America. So another part where data science has been applied is a case of product development. I was watching a video where Y Combinator, which is an accelerator program, by the way, it was an interview where they were interviewing Mark Zuckerberg. And one of the things that Mark mentioned was the fact that in the early days of Facebook, data was very, very critical to making Facebook what it is today, as regards the extent to which they've been able to render really good platform as to collecting people. Their vision is to connect the world. That's Zuckerberg's vision. You understand? So for them just cite just a particular case. He said that at the early years, one of the things that they focused on is the behavioral pattern of Facebook users, where they go to. So, and one of the key parts for them is they were able to see that a lot of their users were actually going from different pages. At that time, it was just new. It's just your page. You post on your page. You understand? So there was no what's on your mind at that time. In fact, you could not post. You can just send friend requests. You can just share some things and all of that. But there was no what's on your mind at that time. So they noticed that people were just going from page to page, going to check people's profile. So what you do that I'm not on Facebook at that time, you only just click your profile and people just see your profile, they see your pictures and all. So people spend a lot of time moving from people's page to page just to see what they are up to, the update on people and all of that. So they felt, okay, it will make sense if they introduce what's on your mind, whereby as soon as you post, all of your friends, all of their posts shows on your own landing page. So in that case, you don't have to now start going from page to page to go check your friends' pages, before you get updates from them. As soon as they post anything, there's any change, any activity on their account, it updates you automatically. You understand? So you see that this whole product or this whole upgrade of Facebook, was only possible because they were able to gather data. They were able to understand the behavioral pattern of their users and then used it to develop a product. So that's one of the use cases, of data science, in product development. So another thing is, one of the things that big tech have done over the years also is to sell us ads using our data. A couple of months ago, I was playing a game. It was a second-person shooter game. What was it called? And then I was just, chatting with my friend. It was a game. I was just playing. Chatting with my friend. And then I said I was just having a conversation with my friend. I was like, I'm hungry. Can we order pizza? Immediately I continued the game, watching the game. Automatically, I just saw Domino's Pizza in front. That was amazing. In fact, that was like the peak for me as regards selling ads using data. So what that means is, first, that violating my privacy. It means that my mic, the game, listens to everything I say, my conversations, and then use it to now sell me ad in the game. So that's a brilliant use case of data science. But at the same time, it's violating my privacy. That is why a lot of platforms that are interested in tech, that are concerned about tech, keep talking about tech versus privacy. All right, so that's one of the case of that was one of the use case of data science. So straight up, let's go into the course proper. So we're going to be looking at essentials of data science. Essentials of data science. So the essentials of data science are statistics, data visualization, and then programming. So we're going to be writing codes in this course also. So like I said earlier, when we started this course, this course has a lot of mathematics in it. So, but we have been able to find a way that I'm talking to people that really don't, are not, do not really like mathematics like that. So, mathematics is not the criteria for you to take this course. So, as soon as, so far, you're able to think about, you are logical enough. I think you should be. This course is not perfect. It's something you can handle. So, statistics. So, under statistics, this is where we actually look at data types, that we encounter, because the way you actually approach data, the way you interact with data, is dependent on the type of that data. If you have a numerical data, for instance, now, you cannot use an approach of another type of data, else you'll not be able to analyze it properly, and you will not have consistency in your analysis. So it is very key that we understand how, the types of data, so that will be very positioned to be able to analyze data properly. So also, we will be able, under this, we'll be able to understand the key statistical terms, that is looking at, types of means. Like I said, it is quite mathematical. So type of means, data fluctuation, and all. So also in this particular, part, we'll be looking at, splitting up data, grouping data, segmenting data. This whole thing, splitting, grouping, segmenting, is just that's your act of analyzing data. You refine the data. You making the data, convert data from raw form into a usable form. So data visualization, really, data visualization, is so after you have analyzed your data, after you have grouped, you have been able to split it, you have been able to refine it, then you have to now represent all of the insights you have gotten from your analysis on a graph. All right. So that's where we look at data visualization. Now you can now see it on a graph. The growth, the rise and fall of the data. The patterns of the data. So this is actually where this all of that is done. So yes, the programming part. So I'm just trying to give a summary, of the essentials of data science before I start going into them in details. So for the programming part, pretty much, like I said, a lot of data scientists in the market now don't actually have programming skills. So data science, programming is, you can actually become a data scientist without you learning how to write any code. It's possible, because data science is quite robust. It has vibrant community. So a lot of developers, even like myself, data scientists like myself, have been able to come up with tools that are already deployed that you can leverage on to help you analyze your data, help you, conduct your virtual representation well. A lot of tools are out. Sorry, I think my internet went down for a period of time. Let me share my screen again. Please bear with me. Okay, we are back online. So if you can hear me clearly, can you please say something, please, before we continue?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, awesome. Okay.
I can hear you also.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay. So yeah, for programming, you don't have to learn programming to become a data scientist. Like I said, so far you are able to leverage on tools, existing tools built by other data scientists that are programmers. You are fine as data scientists. You should be able to do well as data scientists. But there are limitations. There are cases whereby there are problems you actually want to solve. There are data you want to refine, data you want to analyze. But because the tool that you are able to lay your hands on, is not tailored to the problem you want to solve. So in that case, you might have issue. That is why even if I know that to become a data scientist, you really don't have to learn programming, but I advise that you learn programming, at least Python, which is a key part of our class. So we're going to be learning Python in this programming part, to help us handle our class properly. So we're going to learn programming in this part of the class. But again, like I said, in CodeCradle, what we have done over the years is to build our curriculum, design it in a way that it is simple enough for anyone to comprehend. So even if you're going to be learning Python, as a programming language, we are going to position it in a way that you can easily learn it. As a matter of fact, Python is actually the simplest language to learn in programming language generally. So yes, while knowing how to program, will make you a data science, make your data science, experience easier. If you know how to program, it is going to help you ease your automation, customization, your exploration, your prototyping, and your tests. Because after you analyze the data, after you have been able to refine the data, you're supposed to do like a prototype. To have like so a lot of testing has to happen, and that testing is going to happen with